Welcome to StarryCast with Vera and Theo. This week, we're navigating the cosmic currents of May 19th to 25th, 2025.
Yes, we're looking at a range of astrological insights.
And our goal is to bring you a focused understanding of what lies ahead.
Exactly. We want to synthesize these perspectives, give you a clear picture of the dominant energies.
And how they might impact, different parts of your life.
We'll start broad, looking at the major planetary movements, the big picture.
Then we'll zoom in on the collective themes that are emerging.
And finally, we'll dig into what each zodiac sign might specifically expect.
Okay, so let's unpack the week itself. What's the general feeling out there?
Well, across the board, there's this really palpable sense of transition. A lot is shifting.
Right. We're coming off that intense Scorpio full moon energy.
And moving towards the Gemini new moon, which is much more about communication, ideas.
A different vibe entirely.
Totally. And that shift itself, moving between those lunar energies, it really highlights a need for inner stability.
Stability. So like staying grounded.
Precisely. Think of it like moving from deep water to a faster current. You need balance. Grounding is key as the energy shifts.
Makes sense. And what are the big planetary players this week? I know the Sun-Uranus conjunction is one.
That's definitely a major one. Uranus is all about sudden events, the unexpected, innovation, even disruption.
And the sun is our core energy, right? Our vitality.
Exactly. So when they meet up, it creates this powerful surge. It can really catalyze change.
I've heard this alignment sometimes linked to, more physical world events too.
Yes, sometimes it correlates with unexpected natural events like seismic activity. So just a general awareness, a bit of caution advised there. Nothing to panic about, just be mindful.
Okay. And how does the week kick off? Monday sounds active.
It does. The moon starts in Aquarius, and its first contact is with Pluto, which is intense in itself.
And then you add the Sun-Uranus conjunction opposing Mars and Leo.
Yeah, that creates quite a dynamic, potentially quite tense energy right at the start of the week. Monday could feel quite charged.
So managing our reactions, our energy, is going to be important then.
Absolutely crucial. You might feel this kind of push-pull, desire for freedom versus needing control. Mindful awareness is the name of the game.
Got it. Now, another huge piece of news is Saturn, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Saturn's at 29 degrees of Pisces. That's a critical degree.
The very end of its journey through that sign. How long has it been there?
Roughly 2.5 years, but it completes a larger cycle of about 29 years as it finishes up in a sign.
Wow. And that final degree often feels significant, right? Like a culmination.
Very much so. It often brings themes of the entire transit into sharp focus. For Pisces, that's been about spirituality, empathy, maybe confronting illusions or hidden things.
So we might see those themes peaking now.
It's very possible. We might see issues related to boundaries, compassion, escapism, or spiritual understanding coming to a head.
And then it moves into Aries on May 25th. That's a major shift.
Huge. Saturn entering Aries starts a brand new cycle. The focus shifts completely.
Aries is about initiative, action, independence.
Exactly. So Saturn here is about building new structures, discipline, organization, but in a very action-oriented, pioneering way. It's about taking responsibility for starting things.
Okay, so a lot of potentially intense or disruptive energy, but is there anything smoother happening?
Yes, thankfully. We have a really lovely trine between Venus and Mars.
Venus and Mars working together harmoniously. That's good news.
It is. It suggests a smooth flow between what we desire, what we value, that's Venus, and how we act on it, that's Mars.
So opportunities could flow more easily, maybe financial.
Definitely potential for good fortune, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Money, abundance, especially if your intentions and actions are aligned positively, it favors constructive effort.
Good to know. And then the sun itself changes signs around the 20th.
Right. The sun enters Gemini around May 20th, and that shifts the whole collective focus again.
Taurus.
Communication, information, learning. Gemini loves data, exchanging ideas. Also, trade, short trips, short-term plans. It lightens the mood, makes things feel more adaptable, maybe a bit scattered, but active.
And that's likely good news for the air signs.
Generally, yes. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius often feel more energized when the sun is in an air sign. They can really leverage that mental agility.
Okay, what else? Mercury is doing something interesting too, isn't it?
Yes, Mercury is in Taurus, and it's moving towards Uranus.
Mercury and Uranus together. That sounds like unexpected news again.
That's the classic interpretation. Unexpected news, sudden ideas, flashes of insight. Since they're in Taurus, it might relate specifically to finances, resources, or even values.
Could it also mean disruptions, like tech issues?
It certainly can. Communication glitches, travel snags, unexpected changes to plans. Always good to have a backup plan when Mercury meets Uranus.
Right. And Venus, besides the nice trine with Mars, is also connecting with Chiron.
Yes, Venus in Taurus is moving towards a conjunction with Chiron, which is currently in Aries.
Chiron, the wounded healer. So Venus-Chiron relationships.
That's often a key area. It can bring up vulnerabilities in relationships. Old wounds might surface.
Ouch, but also healing potential.
Absolutely. That's the other side of Chiron. With awareness and compassion, it can be a time for significant healing and deepening of understanding within relationships. Facing the wounds allows them to heal.
Okay. And you mentioned some specific dates to be maybe a bit more cautious, around the 23rd, 24th?
Yeah, the general advice seems to be to exercise a bit more discernment around then, particularly with things like speculation, financial risks.
So maybe not the best time for impulsive investments.
Probably wise to hold off on anything too risky or impulsive around those dates. Better safe than sorry.
And lastly, you mentioned weather. Mercury-Uranus again.
Yes, that conjunction can sometimes correlate with unusual or volatile weather. Strong winds, sudden storms, electrical activity like lightning, just something to be aware of in the background.
Okay, wow. So a lot of moving parts this week. If we were to boil it down, what are the big overarching collective themes we should all be thinking about?
Well, the first one that really stands out is the need for conscious awareness and managing impulsivity.
Because of Sun-Uranus and Saturn shifting?
Exactly. With the potential for sudden changes from Uranus and Saturn demanding new structures in action-oriented Aries, just reacting on impulse might not serve you well. Grounding yourself, knowing your intentions, that's vital.
Okay. Self-awareness, avoiding knee-jerk reactions. What else?
Change, transformation, new beginnings. It's woven through almost everything we've discussed. The planetary shifts are pushing for movement. Things are definitely not static this week.
And it sounds like navigating relationships and emotions might require some skill, especially early on.
Yes, that Monday tension we talked about.
Yeah.
There's potential for heightened emotions, maybe some conflicts bubbling up. Mindful communication.
There's good news mixed in. Opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. That Venus-Mars trine points to potential financial improvements, maybe new income streams opening up.
But with a caveat.
Yes, balance that optimism with caution. The warnings about risky decisions, potential fraud, or just bad timing on investments are also there. Due diligence is key.
And relationships are clearly a major focus too.
Hugely. Significant activity there. We could see new people entering the picture. Existing dynamics shifting dramatically, maybe breakups, maybe reconciliations.
And the key is authenticity.
Yes. A real need for honesty, self-awareness, clear communication in all your interactions. Being true to yourself seems paramount.
What about our well-being? Health.
Good point. Paying attention to your physical and mental health is definitely advised. It's a good time to reinforce healthy habits.
And manage stress, given all the changes.
Exactly. Be mindful of stress levels and any physical signals your body might be sending you.
So with all this flux, what's the guiding principle?
I'd say introspection. Taking that time for self-reflection. What are your core values? Are your actions aligned with your long-term goals?
Especially with Saturn starting that new Aries cycle.
Precisely. Saturn in Aries calls for taking ownership of your path, building with intention. So knowing what you want to build is step one.
Okay, that gives us a great overview. Should we dive into the specifics for each sign, starting with Aries?
Let's do it. For Aries, this week really puts a spotlight on your social world. Friendships, groups, networks.
And expect the unexpected there.
Very possibly. Surprising changes, rapid shifts within those social connections are definitely highlighted, but your communication skills should be feeling stronger, which will help you navigate.
So it feels like Aries is building momentum towards that Gemini new moon.
Yes, definitely an upward swing. It's a time marked by new beginnings for Aries, opportunities to take decisive steps forward. You might be making some important choices.
They might also be looking at their collaborations differently. Maybe new opportunities popping up, potentially involving money.
That's right. Redesigning collaborations, unexpected financial opportunities linked to groups or friends that's in the mix.
Any challenges?
There might be moments where expressing yourself feels a bit difficult, but overall the influences are pretty lucky, pretty supportive for Aries this week.
Okay, but there was that financial caution note.
Yes, specifically for Aries, the next, say, 15 days require extra care with money. Be vigilant against theft, scams, bad investments. Just double check everything.
Got it. What about love and romance for Aries?
Looking good. High charm, lots of energy in the love department. Aries is encouraged to be visible, put themselves out there. Your personal magnetism is strong.
Any potential friction points?
Possibly with children, specifically around financial matters. So if discussions about money come up with kids, aim for clear, calm communication.
And that huge Saturn shift into Aries, that's obviously massive for them.
It's the start of a major, roughly 2.5-year period for Aries. It's about fundamentally rebuilding their identity, their life structures, their sense of self.
Especially for early-born Aries.
Yes, those born in the first few degrees of Aries will likely feel this Saturn ingress most immediately and intensely. It's about taking on new responsibilities, maturing, defining who you are for the long haul.
So for Aries, it's like exciting social shifts, good romance potential, maybe unexpected money, but be careful with finances and buckle up for Saturn's long-term rebuilding project.
That's a pretty good summary, yes. A dynamic week with long-term implications.
Okay, let's move on to Taurus. What's the focus there?
For Taurus, a big focus is on increasing financial income, finding ways to boost resources.
And they're right in the thick of that Sun-Uranus conjunction, aren't they? Since it's happening in their sign.
Absolutely. This can bring significant upheaval, sudden, unexpected events right into their personal sphere. It might feel disruptive, even shocking initially.
But the outlook is ultimately positive.
Yes, the underlying message is that these sudden shifts are ultimately catalysts for really positive personal growth and change for Taurus. It shakes things up to move them forward.
They might need to navigate some tricky interpersonal stuff, though. Betrayals mentioned.
Yeah, there's a potential heads up for Taurus about possible betrayals, slander, misunderstandings, things that might feel unfair or come out of the blue.
That sounds tough.
It can be. But the perspective is that these occurrences, while unsettling, will actually lead Taurus towards better things, maybe more authentic relationships, a clearer sense of self-worth, weeding out what's not genuine.
So embracing change is key, even if it feels abrupt.
Very much so. Being open to sudden shifts maybe in their appearance, how they see themselves, relationship decisions, life choices. Resisting will likely just create more tension.
And the advice is caution, avoid conflict.
Especially towards the weekend, yes. Be cautious in interactions, try not to get drawn into unnecessary arguments, conserve your energy.
What about home and family for Taurus? Mars is involved there.
Right, Mars is moving through their 4th house of home and family until mid-June. This can bring changes related to residents moving house, renovations, maybe increased activity, or even conflict within the family dynamic.
But financially, things look up after the 20th.
Yes, financial luck seems to increase after May 20th. Potential for new job opportunities, new income streams opening up. That Gemini sun helps things flow.
What's the core advice for Taurus navigating all this?
Cultivating self-confidence and being really clear in communicating their personal needs. Standing firm in their values amidst the changes.
Relationships.
Yeah.
If things are rocky.
The forecast suggests unstable relationships might not survive this period's pressures. It's a testing time. However, it also opens the door for new, strong, more reliable connections to form.
Okay. And Saturn's move into Aries, how does that impact Taurus?
For Taurus, Saturn moves into their 12th house. This transit, lasting until September initially, puts a strong emphasis on strengthening their spiritual life, dealing with hidden matters, subconscious patterns, maybe even places of self-undoing.
So inner work.
A lot of inner work, yes. It can also bring increased responsibilities, maybe related to international matters or perhaps caring for family members in some way, things happening behind the scenes.
All right, let's turn to Gemini. They're heading towards their new moon, so this must be an important week for them.
Hugely important. It's an exciting, very active week for Gemini. You can feel the energy building.
And those major life changes that might have been simmering are starting to become more obvious.
Yes, especially after Wednesday and Thursday. Things that have been developing under the surface are likely to become much clearer, more apparent. Significant shifts are emerging.
Any specific dates Gemini should really pay attention to?
May 19th and 20th are flagged as potentially critical dates. Watch for important developments, changes, realizations around then. Could be pivotal moments.
Sounds like they're really stepping into something new.
Definitely. New beginnings, taking new steps, feeling more powerful, more in control of their direction. A sense of personal agency is increasing.
And there was mention of financial matters they've been waiting on?
Yes, potential encounters or news related to long-awaited financial situations could come through this week. Maybe a resolution or progress.
It also sounds like they're overcoming some negativity, like clearing the air.
Exactly. It's described as a light dawning in the darkness of the mind. overcoming enemies, jealousy, gossip, slander that might have been around them, a clearer mental space.
They might be feeling tired, though, from recent months or even longer.
Yes, there could be lingering fatigue from challenges faced since last September, or maybe even stretching back to August 2022 when Mars was in their sign for so long. It's been a demanding period.
But the sun entering Gemini should help.
Big time. That happens around May 20th, and it should bring significant relief from stress and pressure, a real energy boost, and a feeling of being back in their element.
Is this a good time for things like therapy?
Very much so. A good period for self-reflection, therapy, understanding themselves better, and the outlook for the summer is positive, a time when desired life changes across the board are likely to happen for Gemini.
Now, Saturn moving into Aries, how does that affect Gemini's social life?
That kicks off a roughly 2.5-year period where Gemini will be seriously reevaluating their social circles, friendships, and group associations.
So potentially challenging.
It can bring challenges, yes. Testing friendships, maybe endings, but also leading to more authentic connections. It's about structuring their social world more consciously. Who truly supports their goals?
Could it bring opportunities too, business-wise?
Yes, good opportunities for new business ventures or collaborations could arise specifically through those social connections, especially if they're well chosen and structured.
Okay, let's look at Cancer. What's the vibe for them this week?
For Cancer, there's significant activity, a general feeling of things getting better in relationships, and an opportunity to establish a new sense of order in their lives.
Progress in business or partnerships, maybe?
Yes, new developments in business relationships, partnerships, collaborations are definitely possible. Things moving forward there.
And that Sun-Uranus conjunction, how might that show up for Cancer?
It happens in their 11th house of social networks, hopes, and dreams. So it could bring significant, maybe even fated feeling connections through social circles, friendships, or groups. Unexpected allies might appear.
Could support come from the past as well?
That's also a possibility. Support from past relationships, former partners, or old friends might reappear or become relevant again.
So it feels like a time of shifting luck and rebuilding for Cancer.
Yes, a sense of luck turning and a process of self-reconstruction, figuring out who they are now and where they're headed.
What's the key advice for them?
Making clear decisions, really discerning what serves them and what doesn't, and having the courage to let go of the latter, clearing the decks.
Financially, things look promising.
Potentially very lucky opportunities in finance and collaborations are highlighted. Worth keeping an eye out for those.
Any cautions for Cancer?
Just a note to be mindful of close friends and their influence. Make sure they're acting their own best interests and not just following the crowd or being swayed by others' opinions.
And with the Sun and Mercury entering Gemini, potentially some behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, Gemini rules their 12th house, so there's a possibility of gossip, things happening behind their back, or just needing more private time for reflection as that area gets activated.
But their overall position strengthens soon.
Yes, the forecast suggests that starting around June 10th, Cancer will feel in a much stronger position, perhaps feeling like adversaries or challenges lose their power.
And Saturn's moving to Aries. How does that hit Cancer?
For Cancer, Saturn enters their 10th house of career and public reputation. This transit, initially until September, impacts their work life significantly.
How so?
It prompts reflection on job satisfaction, career direction, the timing of new ventures. It's about building a solid, long-term career structure. It might also bring increased responsibilities, perhaps related to parents or authority figures.
Okay, on to Leo. Mars is still in their sign, so they're still feeling that energy.
Oh, yes. Mars in Leo continues to be a powerful, energizing, but sometimes demanding influence for them. Lots of drive.
But potential tension early in the week. That Moon-Mars opposition.
Yes. Monday could bring some tension, possibly affecting relationships with family, especially the mother figure, due to the Moon in Aquarius opposing Mars in Leo.
So the focus for Leo is on change. Relationships, emotions, career.
Definitely. A week focused on significant changes and transitions across those key areas. Personal evolution is happening.
And they're feeling drawn to new things.
Very much so. A strong pull towards new beginnings, new paths, adventures, a desire to break new ground.
Could this mean actual job offers or changes in environment?
Yes. Possible job offers, changes in their home or environment, or even significant shifts in their inner self, how they see themselves.
What's the advice for Leo with all this energy?
Be determined, stay focused, but avoid anger. Leo's temper, when unchecked, can be detrimental right now. Channel that Mars energy constructively.
And Sun-Uranus, how does that affect them?
It happens in their 10th house of career and public image, so it can bring shaking, different, surprising situations related to their career, reputation, or life direction. Unexpected opportunities or changes at the top.
So they shouldn't be afraid to take some risks to stand out.
Exactly. The advice is not to fear taking calculated risks in order to shine, to step into the spotlight. It's a time for bold moves, potentially.
But channel energy wisely. Avoid pointless arguments.
Yes, conserve energy. Avoid unnecessary fights and focus that powerful drive on personal and professional growth.
Socially, things pick up after the 20th.
Definitely. As the sun enters Gemini, their 11th house, expect a significant increase in social activity, networking, group involvements.
Could there be big relationship steps like marriage plans or maybe family disagreements about choices?
Both are possible. Potential for marriage preparations, but also maybe dealing with conflicting advice or opinions from family members about major life decisions.
Opportunities for public speaking or being seen.
Yes, very likely. Opportunities to be in the spotlight, share their voice, lead projects.
And love life looks strong for a while.
Strong connections in love and personal life are highlighted until about Juneteenth. Good time for romance and deepening bonds.
What about bigger picture shifts? Relocation, career change.
Those are definitely possibilities. Also pursuing education that could lead to significant shifts in perspective. There's a feeling that long-held hopes and wishes are getting closer to realization.
And Saturn into Aries. How does that influence Leo's future?
It impacts their 9th house, future plans, beliefs, values, long-distance travel, higher education, legal matters. Over the next 2.5 years, Saturn here supports building solid foundations for long-term goals in these areas, if timed correctly and approached with discipline. It's about structuring their vision for the future.
Okay, let's move to Virgo. What's the focus for them?
For Virgo, it's an active week, heavily focused on collaborations, financial matters, shared resources, and investments.
New steps possible, but maybe some bumps.
Yes, potential for new beginnings and steps forward, but also expect some fluctuations or uncertainty along the way. Things might not be totally straightforward.
They might be feeling a bit tired, but also maybe wanting a change of scene.
That's the feeling, possibly tired, but also a potential desire for international plans, travel, or just broadening their horizons somehow.
Decisions about major partnerships could change quickly.
Yes. Decisions related to marriage, serious relationships, or key business partnerships might shift rapidly, leading to a new system or arrangement. Uranus in the 9th is influencing this.
And the South Node in Virgo is a reminder.
Yes, a reminder about potential tendencies toward self-criticism or being overly influenced by what others think. A call to trust their own judgment more.
So don't be swayed by others' opinions.
That's the core advice. Stay centered in their own perspective.
Any specific tensions? Mercury-Mars square mentioned.
Yes, that could cause tension in legal matters or bring unexpected travel plans that might be stressful. Also, potential frustrations related to education, communication, international affairs, or even family issues stemming from those areas.
But hard work pays off.
Dedication will lead to success, especially in career matters, with things potentially smoothing out more after June 20th. Keep putting in the effort.
And relationship stress might ease soon.
Seems likely to decrease after May 25th, bringing some relief.
How does Saturn entering Aries impact Virgo long-term?
Saturn moves into their 8th house of shared finances, intimacy, transformation, and debt. This kicks off a 2.5-year period focused on bringing structure, discipline, and responsibility to these deep and often complex areas.
So serious financial planning, dealing with debts.
Yes, strategic long-term planning regarding joint resources, taxes, loans, inheritances. Also potentially deepening intimacy through facing shared responsibilities or challenges. It's about structuring the unseen foundations of their life.
All right, let's turn to Libra. What's the theme for them?
For Libra, a central theme is questioning control. How much are they trying to manage everything? The advice is to surrender more to their inner strength and the flow of life.
Letting go a bit.
Exactly. And Saturn entering Aries, opposite their sign, is significant. It prompts them to face realities, especially in relationships.
Could they feel some distance from people they trust?
Yes, a possible cooling off or distancing from trusted individuals might occur. Dynamics might shift.
And relationships that aren't working might end.
That's strongly indicated. Problematic relationships and partnerships, things that are fundamentally unbalanced, may reach a natural conclusion. Saturn demands authenticity.
Interestingly, they might be drawn to unexpected people.
Yes, potential for unexpected attractions to people who are quite different from their usual type. Uranian energy influencing connections.
So major relationship changes are likely.
Very likely. A time of significant transformation in the relationship sphere for Libra.
And the advice is to choose transformation over fighting it.
Yes. Embrace the change. Don't get caught in power struggles. Remember that letting go, releasing what doesn't serve them, is actually a source of strength and lightness.
Financial caution is also important for Libra.
Yes, definitely. Be careful with money theft, fraud. Bad investments are potential risks to watch out for.
Could that Sun-Uranus conjunction bring a financial shock? Probably good.
It could. Happening in their 8th house of shared resources, it might bring an unexpected financial event, maybe an inheritance, a partner's income changing, a debt resolution, or even a sudden expense. Hopefully positive, but be prepared.
The overall message is about owning their strength.
Yes, embrace their inner power. Avoid appearing weak or overly dependent. Stand tall through the changes.
And Saturn in Aries, opposite them. How does that play out?
For Sun Libras, it's often more about personal questioning around relationships. What do they really need? For rising Libras, it's more directly about facing the realities within their one-on-one partnerships. It highlights the need for careful choices and can mark the end of unfulfilling connections. It demands balance and fairness be actively built.
Okay, now for Scorpio. Mars in Leo has been draining, maybe making them angry.
Yes, Mars squaring their sign from Leo has likely been draining their energy and potentially increasing frustration or anger levels. It's been a demanding transit.
But the difficult Scorpio full moon is over now.
Thankfully, yes. That intense period has passed, hopefully leading to a sense of renewal, new awareness, and release.
So fatigue lifting, things improving.
That's the outlook. Fatigue should start to lift, and generally things are looking up for Scorpio.
New beginnings. Feeling stronger.
Yes, a sense of new beginnings, feeling strong, feeling good is returning.
And beneficial new connections this week.
Beneficial new connections, positive social interactions are likely, good for networking or just enjoying company.
So, more energy, taking new steps.
Definitely feeling more energetic and motivated to organize tasks, take new steps, and achieve success. Productivity should increase.
But the relationship front sounds intense. Turmoil.
Yes, relationships seem to be a major area of focus and potential upheaval. A choice point seems to be approaching. Stay together or go solo. Decisions are looming.
That Uranian full moon in their sign really stirred things up personally.
Absolutely. It's causing significant personal change, forcing Scorpios to look at themselves and their lives differently.
And they need to be ready for sudden relationship developments for the next couple of weeks.
Highly susceptible, yes. Over the next 15 days or so, expect sudden, unexpected developments in relationships, breakups, sudden attractions, surprising events.
What about single Scorpios?
High potential for lightning strike romance. Falling for someone totally unexpected, maybe someone quite different or unconventional. Intense and sudden attraction is possible.
Any health notes for Scorpio?
Caution advised regarding blood pressure and potential anxiety. Manage stress levels, practice relaxation techniques.
And certain emotional patterns could cause issues. Loss aversion, jealousy.
Yes, those Scorpio tendencies could lead to communication crises if not managed consciously, could negatively impact relationships if they lead to suspicion or control tactics.
So the advice is authenticity. Be real.
Yes, be open, honest, authentic. Shedding social masks allows for genuine connections, which is what Scorpio ultimately craves.
And Saturn into Aries, how does that impact Scorpio's day-to-day?
Saturn moves into their 6th house of daily routines, work habits, health, and service. This transit, especially until September initially, prompts a new phase of structuring these areas.
So getting serious about health routines, work discipline.
Exactly. Implementing healthier habits, bringing more discipline to their work schedule, perhaps addressing chronic health issues, or finding more structure in how they serve others. It's about organizing the mundane, practical parts of life.
Okay, on to Sagittarius. Feeling a bit lost, but finding a new direction.
That's the sense. Maybe a feeling of lacking direction recently, but a new path is definitely starting to emerge. They can feel something new is coming.
Drawn to new things, but maybe unsure how to start.
Yes. And the key is that doing what they used to do won't cut it anymore. They really need to initiate something new, try a different approach.
Could be some ups and downs as they move forward.
Yes, expect some fluctuations, maybe some difficulties or challenges while navigating this new path. Progress might not be smooth sailing initially.
Potential for big changes. Relocation. Career. Finances.
All possible. Relocation, shifts in career, changes in financial situations are all possibilities under these influences. Adaptability is key.
Good news on the money front, though. Something long awaited.
Yes, a long-awaited sum of money might finally arrive this week for Sagittarius.
And new projects, exciting developments.
Also possible, new creative projects, exciting developments that spark their interest.
Maybe steps towards international plans, too.
Yes, taking concrete steps towards international travel, study, or business could happen now.
They might have lost some of their usual spark recently, since last fall.
Yeah, a loss of that typical Sagittarian positive spirit since late October is noted. Could be linked to challenges involving family or perhaps facing dishonesty or disillusionment.
So it's time to break free from bad habits.
Crucial. Need to consciously break free from any harmful habits, negative thinking patterns, or situations that are draining their optimism.
But rewards coming in relationships by early June.
Yes, reward in relationships is expected by around June 10th. This could mean finding new connections or finally feeling liberated from difficult or draining relationships.
A choice between two partners might even come up soon.
Possible choice between two potential partners by June 21st is mentioned. Clarity is needed.
And it's a good time to focus on daily habits. Health, diet, sleep.
Definitely. Time to regulate those daily routines, get back into healthy patterns, foundational self-care.
And being more involved with family.
Yes, urge to be more involved and compassionate with family members. Show up for them.
Strong potential for success internationally, though. Until mid-June.
High potential for success in international business, relationships, travel, or studies until June 17th while Venus is well placed.
And Saturn into Aries. How does that influence Sagittarius?
Saturn moves into their fifth house, creativity, romance, children, fun, self-expression. This transit, especially until September, suggests a need for more patience, structure, and responsibility in these areas.
So maybe taking creative projects more seriously, more discipline in dating, or responsibilities with children.
Exactly. It's about structuring their fun, taking their creative talents seriously, approaching romance with more maturity, or facing the responsibilities involved with children, or bringing more discipline to parenting.
Okay, let's look at Capricorn. Usually control-oriented, but needing to feel feelings this week.
Yes, that's the key advice for Capricorn. Resist the urge to rationalize or control everything. Allow themselves to experience their emotions more fully this week.
Potential for surprise baby news or decisions about kids.
Yes, within the next 15 days or so, possible sudden news of pregnancy or babies in their circle, or maybe needing to make unexpected decisions regarding their children.
And if family isn't the focus, sudden intense romance. Maybe with someone unexpected.
That's the other possibility. If not focused on kids, potential for falling in love suddenly, intensely, perhaps with someone famous in the public eye, or just someone totally unlike their usual type. Uranus energy again.
But need to stay balanced and attentive with children if they have them.
Absolutely. Need to be balanced, attentive, and emotionally present for the children.
What about single Capricorns?
Might be a time for reflection. Why are they alone? But alongside that, a high likelihood of sudden, unexpected romance popping up. Be open to it.
Financial caution needed. That Mercury-Mars square.
Yes, it impacts their finances. Risky ventures should definitely be avoided. Unexpected expenses could also arise suddenly. Stick to the budget.
They'll get clarity on friendships, though.
Yes, this period will likely show them who their true supportive friends are within their social circle. Pay attention to who shows up.
Feeling like a celebration is near.
A sense of being on the verge of something joyful, a celebration or a positive milestone.
But that need for control could make them miss things.
It's a risk. Being too rigid or needing to control every outcome might cause them to miss spontaneous opportunities or connections. Try to loosen the reins a bit.
And the advice is express love freely.
Yes, especially to children and partners. Don't hold back affection. Let people know they're cared for.
How does Saturn into Aries impact Capricorn's foundation, home, family?
Saturn moves into their fourth house of home, family, roots, and emotional security. This transit, strongly felt until September, prompts reflection on stability and comfort.
So maybe restructuring home life.
Yeah.
Dealing with family responsibilities.
Yeah.
Finding emotional security.
Exactly. It could involve literally restructuring the home, renovations, moving, taking on more family responsibilities, perhaps related to parents, or doing the inner work to build a stronger sense of emotional foundation and security. It's about shoring up their base.
Okay, Aquarius next. Already loves freedom, but getting more this week.
Yes, even more liberation is the theme for Aquarius. It's time to break free.
Breaking chains related to what specifically?
Family, home, roots, the past. Anything that feels like an old restriction or obligation holding them back from being authentically themselves.
Need to manage their temper, though. and how they appear when angry.
Yes, urge to manage temper, especially if feeling restricted. Be mindful of their outward appearance when frustrated communication is better than outbursts.
So if feeling restricted, speak up.
Definitely. Communicate openly and clearly if feeling hemmed in or limited. Don't just internalize it.
Pluto in their sign is still having deep effects.
Oh, yes. Pluto in Aquarius is a long transit bringing deep, intense transformation. The advice is to channel any tendency towards overthinking or intensity towards positive outcomes and self-understanding.
Potential challenges in romance or marriage until mid-June.
Yes, potential for rivals, arguments, issues in romantic relationships, and marriage is noted until June 17th, while Mars is opposite them, needs careful handling.
What about Aquarius rising specifically?
If Aquarius is their rising sign, Mars transiting Virgo will be in their 8th house, increasing the need for introspection, dealing with shared resources, intimacy issues, or psychological depths.
So avoid big fights, seek calm resolutions.
That's the best approach. Avoid major blowups, aim for calm, rational discussions to resolve conflict.
Their partner might be stressed too.
Yes, be aware their partner might be stressed due to external circumstances, which could be impacting the relationship. Try to be understanding.
What if Aquarius is single? Frustrations. Or maybe seeing flaws in new people.
Could be frustration about not finding the right person. Or new relationships might quickly reveal narcissistic tendencies or other issues in potential partners. It's a time for careful analysis of relationship dynamics, whether single or partnered.
Self-kindness is important.
Very important. Be kind to themselves amidst all this change and potential relationship analysis.
That feeling of not getting what they want might linger a bit longer.
Yes, maybe for another 15 days or so, that feeling might persist. But energy is set to surge after May 21st.
Bringing
Travel, love, celebrations, a much more outgoing and positive energy shift is coming soon for Aquarius.
and Saturn into Aries. How does that affect their communication and learning?
Saturn moves into their 3rd house of communication, learning, short trips, siblings, and the immediate environment. This transit, felt until September, suggests a need for more discipline, structure, and seriousness in these areas.
So maybe studying more seriously, improving communication skills, structuring daily interactions.
Precisely. Taking communication more seriously. Perhaps undertaking disciplined study, structuring their writing or speaking, dealing with responsibilities related to siblings or neighbors, or bringing more order to their daily comings and goings.
Okay, last but not least, Pisces. Mind active, but the soul knows the truth.
That's a key theme for Pisces this week. The mind might be busy, lots of thoughts, but their deeper intuition, their soul's knowing, holds the real truth. Discernment is needed.
So trust their gut feelings about people and situations.
Absolutely. Their intuition is likely to be highly accurate right now. If a person or situation feels off or wrong, it probably is. Avoid things that don't resonate on that deeper level.
Surprising developments involving people close to them, relatives, friends, colleagues, especially over the weekend.
Yes, unexpected events involving those in their immediate circle are possible. Sudden departures, unexpected behavior, shifts in relationships with siblings or close friends.
Sudden travel plans could also pop up. Caution needed.
Yes, travel plans might arise unexpectedly. Exercise caution in traffic, with vehicles, and during short trips. Mercury-Uranus in the 3rd.
And the workplace needs a calm approach.
Yes, calmness is needed at work to avoid conflicts or even minor accidents. Stay centered.
That full moon and Sun-Uranus are bringing a mental revolution for Pisces.
Big time. Happening in compatible signs, Scorpio and Taurus, these events are likely triggering a revolution in their thinking, their mindset, which will lead to changes in behavior and how they approach life. New perspectives dawning.
Could they suddenly get something they've wanted for ages?
That's a possibility. Suddenly acquiring something long desired, maybe related to communication, learning, or a short-term goal.
And some relief from Saturn's pressure.
Yes, as Saturn finally leaves their sign around May 25th, Pisces should feel a temporary lifting of that heavy, restrictive energy they've been under, a chance to breathe before it enters their 2nd house.
Empathy is a key asset for them this week.
Huge. Prioritize empathy in work and relationships. Their natural compassion is a strength, especially now.
And Saturn moving into Aries, how does that impact Pisces' finances and values?
Saturn enters their 2nd house of personal finances, income, possessions, and self-worth. This kicks off a new phase, strongly felt until September, focused on structuring these areas.
So getting serious about budgeting, building self-worth, defining values.
Exactly. It's about bringing discipline to earning and spending, building tangible security, maybe paying off debt, assessing their possessions, and fundamentally structuring a stronger sense of self-worth based on solid values, not just fleeting things. It's about building lasting value.
Wow, that was certainly a comprehensive deep dive into the forecasts from May 19th to 25th, 2025.
It really was. We've covered the major planetary shifts, those overarching collective themes that affect everyone, and then drilled down into the potential specifics for each of the 12 signs.
And it's always worth remembering, isn't it, that astrology offers a perspective, a look at potential energies.
Absolutely. It's a map of the weather, you could say.
Yeah.
How these energies actually play out in your life, well, that comes down to your individual choices, your awareness.
How you navigate those cosmic currents.
Precisely.
Well, we really hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights, maybe some food for thought as you go into the week.
Yeah. What stood out most to you listening? What themes resonated? Or what questions are you left pondering?
We definitely encourage you to keep observing these themes, see how they feel, how they might align with what's happening in your own experience.
And maybe, as a final thought to mull over, consider this. With that really significant shift of Saturn into Aries.
That's start of a new cycle.
Yes. What new structures, what new disciplines might you consciously choose to build in your own life now? Especially in those areas where you're craving more initiative, more independence, or maybe just a renewed sense of purpose.
Something definitely worth reflecting on.